The only Republican to vote against that bill, by the way, is Brian Fitzpatrick out of PA1. And because he knows us and he talks to us and he asks us questions, unlike what has taken over the House. And I can only, hope that as a federal worker representative, that we can get to the point where there is regular order, where they hold hearings and bring in people to go over these things. And I hope it's not a circus.
I'm with you. Last question I've got for you. What are you looking for in the State of the Union? Is there something specific that you'd want to see the president put in there? If you had a chance to pencil something in, what would it be?
If I had a chance to pencil something in, it would be something on the federal workforce that he appreciated what has been done by our federal workers over the last few years during this pandemic, and going forward, what his vision is for federal workers. As I think I've told you, the secretaries that he's appointed are not following his labor management agenda, and certainly the managers down below aren't. I hope he says something to the federal workforce about that.
Well, we'll see. Phil, I appreciate the time. As always, great stuff, my friend.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Rick.
Anytime. Our good friend Phil Glover. He is the AFGE District 3 National Vice President. AFGE.org, the website, if you want to take a look at what they do. Going to take a quick break. Right back. Stick around. Love to hear your thoughts. Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. If you miss any portion of the program, make sure you grab the podcast. Wherever you find your favorite podcast, you will find ours. Quick break. Right back.
The phone lines are open. Give Rick a call at 1-866-416-RICK. That's 1-866-416-7425.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1919. That day began the week-long general strike in Seattle, Washington. As World War I drew to a close, many workers in the city were frustrated by 2 years without pay increases due to the war. 35,000 workers in the shipyards walked off the job. Workers from most of the 110 union locals across the city voted to support the general strike. At 10 a.m. on February 6th, the citywide strike began. As many as 65,000 workers, or a fifth of the entire workforce of the city, walked off the job. They were met by a combined force of the police and the military. It has been nearly a century since the Seattle General Strike. This unprecedented stand by the city's workers has been remembered and commemorated in many ways. Perhaps the most innovative memorial came in the form of a rock opera. In 1985, Rob Rosenthal set the story of the strike to music. He based the lyrics on research and interviews he did as a graduate student at UC Santa Barbara over the course of 10 years. A band named The Fuse formed to record the 21-song album. The final project was a blend of rock, blues, and folk. The music tells the story of a fictional man who comes to Seattle looking for work in the shipyards during World War I, joining the labor movement and the strike. What labor history event would you like to hear set to music?
Without our muscle, without our brain, nothing would ever grow. We run it all. We run it all.
Like what you hear? Check out more at laborhistoryin2.com.
Who's in the city? Unless we say so. Let the bosses curse.
You're listening to The Rick Smith Show, where working people come to talk.
Again, I come back to there's a lot that needs to be put into this State of the Union address, and if I'm writing it, he's probably going to give a 6-hour speech if it's me writing it. So I don't envy the speech writers, because look, there's a lot of messaging that has to go into this. Because look, the right-wing outrage machine doing a masterful job of convincing people that their lives suck, and inflation is hurting people. Something has to be dealt with. Now, globally, inflation's much worse than it is here, but still, people need to connect. Let's go to the phones. Got Alice on one. How we doing, Alice?
We're were doing okay once I escaped from the containment camp yesterday. I'm not joking. The right wing has lost their ever-loving minds. And I guess coming new to you, close to everyone that's in a red state or near a red state, as you know, my husband was in the hospital, just got released yesterday, and he was in a hospital in West Virginia. And I went to pick him up, and I don't know if it was the Chinese spy plane or what have you, and I'm not joking, exaggerating about any of this. I walked into the hospital, and I started around their little poles and whatnot that they have there, and this little blonde thing just about tackled me to grab me by the arm and scream at me going, ma'am, where are you going? Where are you going? You need to come with me. I'm like, excuse me?
Were you in a restricted area? Were you somewhere where your presence was a danger to somebody?
No, the thing yesterday was you had to show your photo ID and get your picture taken.
Yeah.
To go into the hospital. I'm not joking. And
no, that's coming everywhere. I mean, our need to feel secure. Again, I go back to the Patriot Act. The fact that we gave away so much power just because people needed this illusion of security. It's only getting worse.
Well, it is, and so I had to show my ID to pick up his prescription. So when they were like, "Well, we'll bring him down," and I'm walking out of the hospital, and now this young guy comes running up to me and goes, "Ma'am." I'm like, "What now? I'm already aggravated. I've had enough.
I can imagine.
It's been a drama-filled situation from start to finish. I'm done." And I said, "What?" He said, "Where's your visitor's badge? I need it back right now." So I looked at him and I said, "It wouldn't stay on my coat." I reached in my pocket and it had stuck itself back together, and I just handed it to him and gave it back to him. And I thought, this is ridiculous. And I called today and I talked to hospital administration and I said, "Can you tell me, first of all, why we're doing this? Is this like a containment camp or is this a hospital?" So I guess it's the new and improved way to make sure that no one gets, I don't know. And I will admit I made a number of remarks.
Yeah, I think wherever you go, you should be tracked and surveilled. You sound like one of those people.
I was just ridiculous. I said, did we get a call-in threat from the Islamic Nation for a bomb threat? And then I made a remark about fascist regimes and red states.
Yeah, you're not
Anyways,
helping your case here. You're not helping your case. You're making things worse.
Well, the
I love you,
administration
Alice.
today were not happy.
Yeah,
Their story was that none of it should have happened. Yeah.
How's your husband doing, real quick? Is he getting better?
Yeah, he's home. I brought him home, and his pneumonia is getting better.
Good. That's what I wanted to hear. I appreciate the thoughts, and I
Have a
wish you
good
guys
evening.
the best.
Thanks, Rick. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, Alice. Want to hear your thoughts? Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. Again, if you miss any portion of the program, make sure you grab the podcast wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You will find ours. Going to take a quick break. Right back after this. Stick around. Listen to The Rick Smith Show. We're working people. Come to talk.
It is the biggest annual profit for any U.S. or European oil company ever.
Big Oil posts all-time high record profits. Biden hits the road to promote infrastructure upgrades. Plus,
no company will ever be able to stick a mine on top of some of the best salmon habitat in the world.
EPA vetoes the controversial proposed Pebble mine in Alaska.
For real this time?
For real this time.
All of those stories, and we'll see all of those stories and more straight ahead from BradBlog.com. I'm Brad Friedman.
And I'm Desi Doyen.
Stand by for 6 minutes of independent green news, politics, analysis, and snarky comment.
What's Exxon doing with all of that money?
Well, a lot of it is going back to shareholders. And that means big paydays for investment firms and for executives. But, it's not just Wall Street. Exxon is a very popular stock for retirement accounts.
Well, they certainly do sound excited about those record profits over there at NPR. Guess they don't call them National Petroleum Radio for nothing. This is your Green News Report. Okay, Desi Doyen, I know it's stunning to hear about the record profits at the big oil companies, but first, let's take a look at some of the damage they're causing, shall we?
Yes, a grim assessment. The people of Earth saw 42 weather disasters in 2022 that caused more than $1 billion in damage each. That is according to a new analysis by global insurance company Gallagher Re. Those $42 billion weather disasters included 3 mega disasters costing more than $20 billion each in 2022. Hurricane Ian in the U.S. and drought in the U.S. and Europe. Plus, a record heat wave killed more than 40,000 people across Europe. The total damage wrought globally by weather disasters in 2022 was $360 billion. The researchers found the fingerprints of climate change on virtually every major disaster.
Yeah, but did you hear? ExxonMobil had their largest profits ever.
Yep, oil giant ExxonMobil posted record annual profits for 2022, even as Americans struggled to afford gasoline, home heating, food, and consumer goods. Exxon alone made $56 billion in net profit in 2022. That's more than $6 million an hour, an all-time high, not just for the company, but for the entire Western oil industry, thanks to Russia's war on Ukraine straining fossil energy supplies.
So when the prices for gas went through the roof over the past year, it wasn't because they were having difficulty finding supply. It was because they were increasing their prices to get to these record profits.
Exactly. In a press conference, Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island highlighted his bill to levy a windfall profit tax on oil companies like the European Union has done. And Whitehouse called out the oil industry's propaganda campaign that falsely blamed the Biden administration for high energy prices while the industry was gleefully taking advantage of war profiteering and price gouging. And Senator Whitehouse added this.
When you're looking at how to fund the $11 billion international loss and damage pledge that Joe Biden made, you might want to think about the $200 billion that the fossil fuel industry just extracted in excess profits. They are not stepping up to make good in international loss and damage for the harm that they cause. They have to be held accountable.
Did you think they'd step up, Senator Whitehouse? Did you really?
In other news, President Biden was on the road this week to highlight long-awaited infrastructure repairs and upgrades thanks to the bipartisan infrastructure law on Monday.
KCAA Loma Linda. The Legacy KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM.
I'm Ed Donahue.
It may well be the case that we have to do more and raise hikes more than is priced in.
Stocks moved higher.